As the day's light fades and shadows lengthen, I invite you to join me on a gentle journey back in time. Dim the lights around you, if you'd like, and let your mind drift to an era long past. Imagine the soft glow of firelight flickering against ancient stone walls, casting dancing shadows in quiet villages nestled beneath star-filled skies. The hush of nightfall settles over the land, a blanket of stillness punctuated only by the occasional hoot of an owl or the distant howl of a wolf. In this tranquil moment, we find ourselves at the threshold of sleep, but not as we know it today. No, in these ancient times, sleep was a different creature entirely, strange and fragmented. The nightly rituals of our ancestors were deeply woven into the fabric of their cultures and beliefs. As we explore these curious customs, you might find yourself smiling at their peculiarity or marveling at their ingenuity. Either way, I hope you'll join me in this cozy exploration of the dream world. Picture, if you will, an Egyptian noble reclining on a headrest carved from cool alabaster. It's not the most comfortable pillow by our standards, but to them it was a gateway to the realm of the gods. These headrests, often adorned with protective deities, were believed to cradle more than just their heads. They cradled their very souls, keeping them safe as they ventured into the perilous night. Isn't it amusing how we fuss over memory foam and ergonomic designs, when our ancestors managed just fine with stone pillows? Though, I suppose we should be grateful. Unimagined waking up without a crick in the neck was very common back then. As we drift further back in time, we find ourselves in ancient Mesopotamia, where sleep was seen as a small death. A nightly journey into the underworld. The Sumerians believed that dreams were messages from the gods, delivered in the dead of night when the veil between worlds was thinnest. Imagine falling asleep each night, wondering what divine wisdom might be whispered in your ear. It's almost enough to make you look forward to bedtime, isn't it? Though I suspect the fear of nightmares might have been a bit more intense back then. No one wants to upset the gods with a bit of nocturnal drooling. Let's wander now to ancient Greece, where sleep was personified as Hypnos, the gentle god of slumber. His twin brother was Thanatos, the god of death. A family reunion, I'm sure, was always a barrel of laughs. The Greeks saw sleep as a blessed respite, a chance for the body to heal and the mind to wander freely. They practiced something called incubation sleep, where they would spend the night in temples, hoping for prophetic dreams or divine healing. It's a far cry from our modern sleep clinics, isn't it? Though I can't help but wonder if the serene atmosphere of a temple might be more conducive to a good night's rest than the sterile hum of hospital machinery. As we meander through time, we find ourselves in medieval Europe, where the concept of a solid 8 hours was as foreign as indoor plumbing. Instead, they practiced something called segmented sleep, 2 4-hour chunks with a wakeful period in between. During this midnight interlude, people would pray, chat with bedmates, or even visit neighbors. It was a time for quiet reflection and intimate conversation. In our world of Netflix binges and late-night scrolling, there's something rather charming about the idea of a built-in pause for connection and contemplation, don't you think? Of course, not all sleep habits were quite so quaint. In some cultures, sleep was seen as a vulnerable state, a time when evil spirits could invade the body or malevolent forces could work their mischief. Protective charms and rituals abounded, from hanging dream catchers to reciting bedtime prayers. In parts of Southeast Asia, people would sleep with an iron knife under their pillow to ward off nightmares. It's a practice that might raise a few eyebrows at modern sleepovers, but you have to admire their commitment to a good night's rest. Though I can't help but wonder how many accidental haircuts occurred in the middle of the night. As we continue our drowsy wanderings through history, we stumble upon the curious sleep habits of the Vikings. These fierce warriors had a surprisingly cozy approach to bedtime, often sleeping in communal longhouses. Imagine drifting off to sleep surrounded by your entire extended family. The warmth of bodies and the crackling of the hearth fire keeping the chill of Nordic nights at bay. It wasn't all snugged togetherness. The Viking berserkers were said to enter a trance-like state before battle, a kind of waking sleep that filled them with superhuman strength and fearlessness. It's a far cry from our modern power naps, isn't it? Though I suppose it's a bit more socially acceptable than dozing off in the middle of a board meeting. Let's sail across the ocean now, to the sun-drenched islands of Polynesia. Here, sleep was often a communal affair, with entire villages bedding down together in large open-air fail. The gentle lull of ocean waves and the rustle of palm fronds served as a natural lullaby, while the warm night air caressed bare skin. The Polynesians had a deep respect for dreams, believing them to be messages from the spirit world. They practiced dream incubation, much like the ancient Greeks, seeking guidance and healing through their nightly visions. It's a lovely thought, isn't it, that each night could bring not just rest, but wisdom and insight as well. As our journey through time begins to wind down, let's pause for a moment in ancient China. Here, sleep was seen as a vital part of maintaining the balance between yin and yang energies. The Chinese believed that the position of your bed could affect your health and fortune, giving rise to the practice of feng shui. Imagine the care and consideration that went into arranging a bedroom, aligning it with the cosmic forces to ensure the most restful and auspicious sleep. It makes our modern obsession with thread counts and pillow firmness seem a bit superficial, doesn't it? Though I suppose there's something to be said for a well-placed throw pillow. As we begin to drift back to the present, let's reflect on the rich tapestry of sleep customs we've explored. From stone pillows to communal longhouses, from midnight chats to dream temples, our ancestors approached sleep with a reverence and creativity that's both amusing and inspiring. In our modern world of sleep trackers and melatonin supplements, it's easy to forget that sleep is more than just a biological necessity. It's a nightly adventure, a small death and rebirth, a chance to connect with ourselves and the world around us in ways we co-own during our waking hours. So tonight, as you settle into your bed, be it memory foam or futon, four-poster or floor mat, take a moment to appreciate the simple miracle of sleep. Let the worries of the day melt away, and allow yourself to sink into the gentle embrace of slumber, just as countless generations have done before you. In the soft glow of moonlight, imagine a world where sleep wasn't confined to a single, unbroken stretch. This, my friends, was the norm for countless generations before us. Known as Biphosic sleep, it was a dance of two distinct slumbers, separated by a period of quiet wakefulness. How strange it seems to our modern minds, yet how natural it once was. In medieval Europe, as the embers of the hearth fire slowly dimmed, people would stir from their first sleep. Can you hear the rustle of blankets, the soft padding of feet on cool stone floors? Perhaps a hand reaches out to light a small oil lamp, its flame flickering to life and casting long shadows on the walls. These midnight hours were not filled with anxiety or frustration as we might expect today. No, they were cherished moments of tranquility and reflection. Some would sit by the window, gazing at the stars and pondering life's great mysteries. Others might tend to small tasks. Mending a garment or writing in a journal by candlelight. Isn't it amusing to think that what we now consider insomnia might have once been a treasured part of the night? This practice wasn't limited to the chilly castles of Europe. Across the warm waters of the Mediterranean, ancient cultures embraced this rhythm as well. From the bustling ports of Greece to the quiet villages along the Nile, people would wake in the night, their minds clear and spirits calm. Imagine a philosopher in Athens, roused from his first sleep, jotting down ideas that came to him in dreams. Or picture a Roman matron, using this time to write letters to distant loved ones, her stylus scratching softly on papyrus in the stillness of night. It's a rather charming thought, isn't it? A world where the night was not just for sleeping, but for living. Quietly, peacefully, intentionally. But as with all things, change was inevitable. The advent of artificial light began to alter our relationship with darkness. No longer bound by the sun's cycle, humans could extend their waking hours well into the night. The soft glow of candles gave way to the harsh glare of gas lamps, and later the ubiquitous electric light. Suddenly, the night was not so dark, not so mysterious, and with this newfound illumination came a shift in our sleep patterns. The Industrial Revolution brought with it rigid schedules and long working hours. Time became a commodity, and sleep, once fluid and natural, became something to be optimized. The idea of a single, uninterrupted night's rest took hold, pushed by the relentless march of progress. Isn't it ironic? In our quest for efficiency, we may have lost touch with a natural rhythm that served humanity for millennia. Now, as we lie in our beds, surrounded by the soft hum of modern conveniences, we might wonder, what have we gained and what have we lost? The continuous sleep we now strive for is a relatively recent invention, a product of our brightly lit, tightly scheduled world. Perhaps there's wisdom in those old ways, a secret hidden in the quiet hours between sleeps. Maybe, just maybe, those ancestors of ours knew something we've forgotten. The value of pause, of reflection, of embracing the natural ebb and flow of consciousness. As you drift off tonight, dear listener, consider the possibility that waking in the night isn't always a problem to be solved. It might be an echo of an ancient rhythm, a whisper from our past inviting us to slow down, to breathe, to simply be. And who knows, you might find that allowing yourself a moment of wakeful peace in the depths of night brings a richness to your rest that you never expected. After all, sometimes the old ways have a charm and a wisdom all their own. Picture, if you will, the hushed corridors of an Egyptian dream temple. The air is thick with the scent of incense, and the flickering light of oil lamps casts dancing shadows on the walls. Here, in these hallowed chambers, the ancient Egyptians sought more than just rest. They came in search of healing, guidance, and whispers from the gods themselves. The priests, moving with quiet purpose, would prepare the dream incubation chambers, These sacred spaces were designed to cradle the sleeper in an atmosphere of tranquility and spiritual receptivity. Soft linen sheets were carefully laid out, infused with herbs believed to enhance prophetic dreams. The walls, adorned with hieroglyphs and images of deities, seemed to pulse with ancient wisdom in the dim light. As night deepened, pilgrims would enter these chambers with reverence. They had spent days purifying themselves through fasting and prayer, their minds and bodies a clean slate, ready to receive divine messages. Can you imagine the mix of anticipation and serenity they must have felt as they settled onto their sleeping mats? The rituals began with gentle chanting, the melodic tones washing over the dreamers like a soothing balm. Priests would move among them, whispering prayers and invoking the gods of sleep and prophecy. The air grew heavy with the sweet smoke of kifi, a sacred incense believed to open the pathways between mortal and divine realms. As the pilgrims drifted off to sleep, they entered a world between worlds. In their dreams, they hoped to encounter the gods, to receive healing for ailments that had resisted earthly cures, or to glimpse the veiled future. The Egyptians believed that in sleep the Ba, a part of the soul, could leave the body and traverse the realms of gods and spirits. Come morning, as the first rays of Ra, the sun god, painted the sky in soft golds and pinks, the dreamers would slowly stir. Priests stood ready to interpret the night's visions, unraveling the symbolic language of dreams with the skill of master weavers teasing apart tangled threads. Now, let's gently shift our gaze across the Mediterranean to the sun-drenched lands of ancient Greece. Here, too, sleep was revered as a sacred state, a time when mortals could brush against the divine. The Greeks had their own temples of dreams, known as Asclepians, named after Asclepius, the god of healing and medicine. Imagine approaching one of these sanctuaries, perhaps the famous Asclepian of Epidamnus. The air is filled with the gentle rustling of olive leaves and the distant murmur of pilgrims' prayers. As you walk the sacred grounds, you pass fountains where visitors purify themselves, their quiet splashing a soothing counterpoint to the reverent hush. The heart of the Asclepian was the Abaton, the sleeping hall where patients came to receive healing dreams. Unlike the Egyptian chambers, these were often open-air structures, allowing the cool night breezes to caress the sleepers. Can you feel the soft grass beneath your feet? See the stars winking overhead like distant, watchful eyes? As night fell, those seeking divine intervention would prepare for their sacred sleep. They would bathe in the holy springs, letting the cool water wash away not just physical impurities, but spiritual ones as well. Some would make offerings to Asclepius, perhaps a small clay model of the body part they hoped to heal, or a humble coin placed on the altar with trembling hands and whispered prayers. The ritual of incubation, as the Greeks called it, began with a solemn procession. Priests and priestesses, clad in white robes that seemed to glow in the moonlight, would lead the patients to their sleeping places. Soft hymns filled the air, invoking Asclepius and his daughters Hygeia and Panacea to bless the coming dreams with their healing touch. As the dreamers settled onto their pallets, often made of animal skins believed to enhance the connection to the divine, attendants would move among them. They might whisper encouragements or recite calming passages from sacred texts. Some accounts even speak of sacred snakes, symbols of Asclepius, that would slither harmlessly among the sleepers. their presence a living connection to the god of healing. In the depths of night, it was believed that Asclepius himself would visit the dreamers. He might appear in his divine form, or perhaps disguised as a mortal physician. In these visionary encounters, he would offer diagnoses, prescribe treatments, or even perform miraculous healings that would manifest upon waking. As dawn's rosy fingers reached across the sky, the Abaton would slowly come to life. Priests would move among the waking patients, carefully recording their dreams. These accounts were treated as sacred texts, pored over for hidden meanings and divine instructions. Successful healings were commemorated with votive offerings and inscriptions, testaments to the power of faith and the mysteries of sleep. Both the Egyptians and Greeks shared a profound reverence for the realm of dreams. They saw sleep not as a mere biological necessity, but as a nightly pilgrimage into a world of spirits and gods. In the quiet darkness, they believed, the barriers between mortal and divine grew thin, allowing for exchanges that were impossible in the harsh light of day. This ancient wisdom reminds us that sleep is more than just rest for the body. It's a time of renewal for the spirit, a chance for our unconscious minds to process, heal, and perhaps, just perhaps, touch something greater than ourselves. Picture, if you will, a bustling Roman household as night falls. The day's activities wind down, and the family prepares for rest. But sleep, in these times, was not the private affair we know today. No, it was a shared experience, intimate and communal. In the heart of the home, a large room serves as both living space and bedroom. Couches line the walls, their wooden frames adorned with plush cushions. These are not mere seats, but the very beds where our Roman family will spend their nights. Can you hear the soft rustle of linen as they settle in, adjusting their positions for comfort? The wealthy, of course, enjoyed more luxurious arrangements. Imagine a patrician's bedchamber, where ornate couches boast intricate carvings and are draped with fine fabrics. The air is perfumed with lavender and chamomile, a futile attempt to mask less pleasant odors, for even in the grandest of homes, the realities of ancient life persist. But let's not forget the vast majority, the common folk of Rome and Greece. Their sleeping quarters were far more modest. Entire families might share a single room, with parents and children huddled together on simple pallets stuffed with straw or wool. The closeness brought warmth on chilly nights, but also other sensations, the press of bodies, the mingling of breaths, the occasional elbow in the ribs, all part of the nightly symphony. As we drift through these ancient sleeping spaces, we become aware of the sounds that fill the night. The gentle snoring of a nearby sleeper, the distant barking of dogs, perhaps even the muffled conversations of those still awake. In the absence of modern noise pollution, these sounds would have seemed amplified, a constant reminder of the world beyond one's own thoughts. But it wasn't just the sounds that kept our ancestors company through the night. No, there were other, less welcome bedfellows. Fleas, lice, and bedbugs were unfortunate realities of ancient life. Rich and poor alike battled these tiny invaders, though the wealthy had more weapons in their arsenal. Can you smell the pungent aroma of certain herbs? Rue, wormwood, and fleabane were often scattered about sleeping areas, their strong scents believed to repel pests. Whether they truly worked or simply masked other odors is a question lost to time. but close your eyes and imagine the earthy, slightly bitter fragrance filling your nostrils as you lay down to rest. In the flickering light of oil lamps, shadows dance on the walls. These lamps were both a blessing and a curse, providing much-needed light, but also posing a fire hazard. Many a Roman or Greek home was lost to flames that began with a carelessly placed lamp. Perhaps this is why some prefer to sleep in complete darkness, relying on their other senses to navigate the night. As we continue our journey through time, we noticed how social status influenced not just the quality of sleep, but its very nature. For the wealthy, sleep could be a leisurely affair. They might retire early, rise late, and even indulge in afternoon naps. The poor, however, rose with the sun and worked until exhaustion claimed them. Yet despite these differences, sleep remained a shared experience across all levels of society. Even in the grandest of palaces, attendants often slept near their masters. In more modest homes, it was not uncommon for servants to sleep at the foot of their employer's bed. Privacy, as we understand it today, was a luxury few could afford, or even desired. This communal approach to sleep had its advantages. It provided security in numbers, warmth on cold nights, and a sense of connection that modern society often lacks. But it also had its drawbacks. Imagine trying to find a moment of solitude, or to engage in intimate activities, when surrounded by snoring family members or watchful servants. As the night wears on, we become aware of the rhythms of ancient sleep. Unlike our modern habit of sleeping in one long stretch, many of our ancestors practiced segmented sleep. They would retire shortly after sundown, sleep for a few hours, then rise for a period of quiet activity before returning to bed until dawn. During these midnight hours, some would tend to their children or animals. Others might engage in quiet conversation, prayer, or even love-making. It was a time for reflection, for creativity, for connecting with loved ones, away from the bustle of the day. The soft glow of starlight filters through small windows, casting a gentle illumination over the sleeping forms. In this moment of stillness, we can almost hear the whispered dreams of those long past. What occupied their thoughts as they drifted off to sleep? What worries kept them tossing and turning? As dawn approaches, the household begins to stir. The air fills with the scent of baking bread and brewing tea. Roosters crow in the distance, heralding the start of a new day. Our ancient sleepers rise, stretching and yawning, ready to face whatever challenges await them. We, too, must prepare to leave this nocturnal journey through time. But as we return to our own era, perhaps we carry with us a new appreciation for the simple act of sleep. For in those quiet hours of rest, we are connected not just to those around us, but to all who have come before. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ancient landscape, we find ourselves transported to a time when sleep was not the peaceful refuge we know today. The night air carries a chill, and with it, the whispers of our ancestors' nightly in the soft glow of a dying campfire, we can almost see the silhouettes of nomadic tribes, their eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of danger. These were people who knew that sleep was a luxury, one that could be snatched away at any moment by the harsh realities of their world. Picture, if you will, a small group huddled together for warmth and safety. The night is alive with sounds. The rustle of leaves, the distant howl of a wolf, the snap of a twig underfoot. Each noise sends a ripple of alertness through the group, their senses honed by generations of survival. One by one, they take turns to rest, never fully surrendering to deep slumber. It's a dance of vigilance, a delicate balance between the need for rest and the instinct to protect. The weight of responsibility rests heavily on their shoulders, for to let down their guard could mean the difference between life and death. As we settle into this scene, we can't help but wonder how different their sleep was from our own. In our modern world, we seek the embrace of uninterrupted slumber, yet these ancient people found strength in fragmentation. Their sleep was light, broken, a series of short naps rather than one long journey into unconsciousness. Can you hear the soft crackle of the fire? It's a comforting sound, a barrier against the unknown that lurks beyond its warm circle of light. Yet even this small comfort is a double-edged sword, for the flames that keep them warm also signal their presence to any who might be watching. The night wears on, and with it comes a rotation of watchful eyes. As one exhausted sentinel finally allows themselves to drift off, another rises to take their place. It's a seamless transition, born of necessity and honed by practice. In this world, there is no room for the luxury of deep, unguarded sleep. Listen closely, and you might hear the soft footfalls of a sentry making their rounds. They move with purpose, their eyes straining to pierce the veil of darkness that surrounds them. Every shadow could conceal a threat, every rustle in the undergrowth a potential predator. It's almost amusing to think how we might react to such constant vigilance in our modern lives. Imagine if we had to approach our nightly rest with the same level of caution. Perhaps we'd all be a bit more appreciative of our cozy beds and soundproof walls. As the night deepens, so too does our understanding of these ancient sleep patterns. We begin to see how this fragmented approach to rest was not just a necessity, but a finely tuned survival strategy. Each brief period of sleep was an opportunity to recharge, to gather strength for the challenges that lay ahead. The cold night air nips at exposed skin, a constant reminder of the harsh environment these people called home. Yet even in this discomfort, there's a sense of unity, of shared purpose. The tribe sleeps as one, their collective consciousness never fully at rest. In the distance, an owl calls out, its haunting cry a reminder of the wild world that surrounds them. It's a sound that might startle us from our sleep, but for these ancient people, it's just another thread in the tapestry of night sounds they've learned to interpret and understand. As we continue our journey through this ancient night, we can't help but draw parallels to our own sleep habits. How often have we found ourselves jolted awake by an unexpected noise, our hearts racing with an inexplicable sense of danger? Perhaps these are echoes of our ancestors' vigilance, whispers of a time when sleep was a luxury we couldn't afford to indulge in fully. The night wears on, and we see the toll this constant alertness takes on the tribe. Eyes are heavy, movements slow and deliberate, yet still they persist, driven by the knowledge that to succumb to exhaustion is to invite disaster. In the darkest hours before dawn, when the world seems to hold its breath, we witness the true strength of these ancient people. Despite the fatigue that weighs heavily upon them, they remain watchful, their senses attuned to the slightest change in their environment. As the first hints of light begin to paint the eastern sky, there's a palpable sense of relief among the tribe. They've made it through another night, another test of their resilience and adaptability. The day brings its own challenges, but for now, the immediate danger has passed. We can't help but feel a sense of admiration for these ancestors of ours. Their sleep may have been fragmented and light, but it was purposeful, a testament to their will to survive in a world that was often hostile and unforgiving. As we prepare to leave this ancient scene, we carry with us a new appreciation for the luxury of our modern sleep. The next time we find ourselves tossing and turning, startled awake by a car alarm or a neighbor's late-night activities, perhaps we'll pause to consider the echoes of our past. These instincts that pull us from sleep at the slightest disturbance are not flaws in our modern psyche, but rather remnants of a time when such alertness meant the difference between life and death. They are a bridge to our past, a reminder of the strength and resilience that lies within each of us. So tonight, as you lay your head upon your pillow, take a moment to listen to the night. Let the soft sounds of your surroundings wash over you, and remember the countless generations that came before, their watchful eyes and alert minds carving out a future in which we could finally rest easy. For in the end, our sleep is not just a biological necessity, but a hard-won privilege, earned through the vigilance and sacrifice of those who came before us. And in that knowledge, perhaps we can find a deeper, more restful sleep, secure in the understanding that we are the beneficiaries of an ancient and unbroken chain of survival. As the fire dies down to embers, and the night sounds fade into the approaching dawn, we bid farewell to our ancient ancestors. Their legacy lives on, in every quiet night, in every peaceful slumber, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity, and our remarkable ability to adapt and thrive in even the most challenging of circumstances. In the quiet depths of history, our ancestors lived in harmony with the natural rhythms of day and night. As the sun dipped below the horizon, they would settle into the soft embrace of darkness, their minds and bodies attuned to the gentle ebb and flow of celestial cycles. Imagine, if you will, a world without the harsh glare of artificial light. In those ancient times, people's sleep patterns were as fluid as the starry sky above. They would drift into slumber as twilight painted the world in muted hues, their eyelids growing heavy with the weight of encroaching night. But this wasn't the uninterrupted eight-hour slumber we've come to expect in our modern era. No, their nights were punctuated by periods of wakefulness, a natural segmentation of sleep that we've all but forgotten in our rush to conform to the ticking of clocks and the demands of schedules. As the moon traced its arc across the heavens, our ancestors might stir from their first sleep, rising to tend to the embers of a dying fire, or to check on sleeping children. These midnight hours were often filled with quiet contemplation, whispered conversations, or even visits to neighbors, a nocturnal social life that seems almost alien to us now. The air would be thick with the scent of earth and night-blooming flowers, carried on cool breezes that rustled through leaves and whispered ancient secrets. In these moments of wakeful peace, dreams might be pondered, stories shared, and the mysteries of existence contemplated under a canopy of stars. As the night deepened, they would drift back into their second sleep, cradled by the darkness, until the first tentative rays of dawn painted the sky in pastel hues. This natural awakening, in tune with the rising sun, was a far cry from the jarring alarm clocks that now startle us from our slumbers. But as civilizations grew and changed, so too did our relationship with sleep. The flickering light of candles began to push back against the dominion of night, allowing activities to stretch beyond sunset. Imagine the soft glow of candlelight illuminating the faces of those who dared to defy the natural order, their eyes bright with the novelty of extended wakefulness. It is almost amusing to think how revolutionary a simple candle must have seemed. A tiny rebellion against the tyranny of darkness, yet this small flame was the harbinger of a much greater change to come. As cities grew and industry flourished, the night began to lose its power over human activity. Gas lamps cast their warm glow over cobblestone streets, and suddenly the world after dark was no longer a realm of mystery and danger, but a new frontier of possibility. And then came electricity, that brilliant invention that would forever alter our perception of night and day. With the flick of a switch, darkness could be banished at will. The soft, warm glow of Edison's bulb must have seemed like magic to those who first witnessed it. A miniature sun that could be summoned at any hour. But with this marvelous ability to illuminate our nights came an unexpected consequence. Our sleep, once so closely tied to the natural world, began to shift and change. The gentle division between first and second sleep began to blur, compressed by the demands of a world that never truly slept. Gradually, almost imperceptibly, our nights transformed. The rich tapestry of midnight wakefulness, with its quiet moments of reflection and connection, was woven into a single, unbroken thread of sleep. We traded the natural ebb and flow of rest for efficiency, consolidating our slumber into one continuous block. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? In our quest to conquer the night, we may have lost touch with a fundamental aspect of our nature. The modern bedroom, with its blackout curtains and ambient noise machines, is our attempt to recreate the cocoon of darkness our ancestors knew so well. Yet something intangible has been lost in translation. Our dreams, once given space to breathe in those midnight hours of wakefulness, now rush by in a blur of REM cycles and alarm clocks. The night, once a vast expanse of time for reflection and rejuvenation, has become little more than an inconvenience to be overcome. But perhaps there's a gentle lesson to be learned from our ancestors' sleep habits. In our fast-paced world, where every moment is accounted for and productivity reigns supreme, maybe we could benefit from embracing a little of that ancient wisdom. Imagine allowing yourself to wake naturally in the night, not with anxiety about lost sleep, but with curiosity about the quiet world around you. Picture stepping outside to gaze at the stars, feeling the cool night air on your skin, and allowing your mind to wander in those peaceful hours when the rest of the world slumbers. Of course, it's not practical for most of us to return entirely to the sleep patterns of our ancestors, but we can certainly learn from their intimate connection with the natural world. Perhaps by acknowledging the ebb and flow of our own energy throughout the day and night, we can find a more harmonious balance between our modern lives and our innate rhythms. As we reflect on the strange sleep habits of ancient civilizations, it's worth considering what we've gained and what we've lost in our evolution of rest. Our ability to light up the night has brought us incredible advancements, opening up new realms of possibility. Yet, in our rush to conquer darkness, we may have inadvertently distanced ourselves from the very cycles that shaped our species for millennia. The next time you find yourself awake in the small hours of the night, instead of tossing and turning with frustration, why not embrace that moment? Let your mind wander, as your ancestors once did. Listen to the quiet sounds of the sleeping world around you. Who knows what insights or peaceful revelations might come in those stolen moments of wakefulness? In the end, sleep remains one of life's great mysteries, a daily journey into unconsciousness that we all undertake, yet barely understand. By looking back at how our ancestors approached this nightly ritual, we might just find new ways to improve our own relationship with rest. So, tonight, as you prepare for sleep, take a moment to appreciate the luxury of your warm bed and the ability to control light at will. But also consider the ancient rhythms that still pulse within you, echoes of a time when sleep was not just a necessity, but a nightly adventure into the realm of dreams and quiet contemplation. As you drift off, let your mind wander to those ancestors, lying beneath the vast canopy of stars, their sleep as natural and rhythmic as the tides. In that moment between wakefulness and dreams, you might just catch a glimpse of the timeless dance between light and dark, sleep and wakefulness that has shaped human experience since time immemorial. And who knows, perhaps in embracing a little of that ancient wisdom, we might find ourselves more rested, more connected, and more in tune with the natural world around us. After all, in the grand tapestry of human history, our modern sleep habits are but a recent stitch. There's still so much we can learn from the gentle, natural rhythms that guided our species for countless generations. Picture, if you will, the flickering light of a dying fire, casting long shadows across the walls of a humble dwelling. The air is thick with the scent of herbs, burned to ward off evil spirits and invite peaceful slumber. Can you hear the soft rustling of leaves outside? Nature's own lullaby? In ancient Egypt, the pharaohs slept on beds of ebony and gold, their heads cradled by headdresses carved from stone. These weren't for comfort, mind you, but to keep their elaborate wigs in place. Imagine drifting off to sleep, your head balanced precariously on a crescent of cool stone. Perhaps it's not so different from our modern struggle with memory foam and ergonomic pillows. The Romans, ever practical, divided their nights into two distinct periods of sleep. They would retire shortly after sunset, sleep for a few hours, then rise in the middle of the night for a time of quiet contemplation or intimate conversation. This hour between sleeps was a cherished time, free from the demands of the day. How different from our own nights, where we chase sleep like a flighty lover, desperate for its embrace. In medieval Europe, the very notion of privacy was a luxury few could afford. Entire families would share not just a room, but often a single bed. Imagine the warmth, the closeness, the gentle chorus of breathing in the dark, a far cry from our modern obsession with personal space, isn't it? Yet there's something oddly comforting about the idea of never truly sleeping alone. The Vikings, those fierce warriors of the north, had a rather peculiar sleep habit. They would often sleep sitting up, propped against the wall of their longhouses. It was believed this position would allow them to spring into action at a moment's notice. One can almost picture these burly men, snoring softly, hands never far from their weapons, a reminder, perhaps, that even in sleep, life can demand our readiness. In ancient China, the concept of feng shui extended to the bedroom, with precise rules about the placement of beds and the direction one should face while sleeping. The head of the bed should never face the door, lest your spirit escape in the night. It's a charming thought, isn't it, that our very essence might be so adventurous as to wander while we sleep. The indigenous peoples of Australia had a fascinating relationship with sleep. For them, the boundary between waking and dreaming was fluid, with the dream time being as real and significant as their waking hours. They would often sleep in short bursts throughout the day and night, their rest interwoven with storytelling and ritual. How different from our rigid schedules, our alarm clocks, our desperate attempts to cling to every minute of sleep. In ancient Japan, the samurai practiced a form of sleep known as inamuri, or sleeping while present. They would appear to be awake, often in formal situations, while actually dozing. It was considered a sign of diligence, of working so hard that one simply couldn't help but fall asleep. Imagine nodding off in a meeting today and being praised for your dedication. How times have changed. The Mayans believed that dreams were messages from the gods, and would often sleep with objects under their pillows to influence these divine communications. A small figurine might invite prosperity, while a piece of obsidian could ward off nightmares. It's a lovely thought, isn't it, that we might curate our dreams as carefully as we do our waking lives. In ancient Persia, sleep was seen as a form of death, and the act of waking as a daily resurrection. They would greet each morning with joy and gratitude, celebrating their return to the world of the living. How different from our own bleary-eyed stumbles towards the coffee pot, grumbling at the new day. The Greco-Roman god of sleep, Hypnos, was said to live in a cave where night and day met, surrounded by poppies and other sleep-inducing plants. His brother was Thanatos, the god of death, a reminder of the close relationship between sleep and mortality in the ancient mind. It's a sobering thought, isn't it, that each night we willingly surrender ourselves to a state not so different from death. In some African tribes, sleep was a communal affair, with entire villages bedding down together under the stars. The elders would tell stories late into the night, their words weaving dreams in the minds of the young. Can you imagine it? The warmth of bodies pressed close, the vast expanse of the night sky above, the murmur of familiar voices lulling you to sleep. The ancient Irish had a curious custom of shealing, where they would move their entire households to summer pastures for a few months each year. They would sleep in simple huts, their days dictated by the rhythms of nature and the needs of their herds. It was a time of renewal, of connection with the land and with each other. How different from our own summers, with their frantic vacations and desperate attempts to relax. In the monasteries of medieval Europe, sleep was strictly regulated. Monks would retire to their cells at sunset, rise for midnight prayers, then sleep again until dawn. Their rest was punctuated by prayer and contemplation, a rhythm as regular as the ticking of a clock. There's something appealing about that structure, isn't there? The idea that even our sleep might be infused with purpose and meaning. As we reflect on these ancient sleep habits, it's hard not to feel a sense of loss. Our modern world, with its constant stimulation and artificial light, has divorced us from the natural rhythms that guided our ancestors. We've gained convenience, certainly, but at what cost? Perhaps there's wisdom in these old ways. In the communal sleep of African tribes, we might find an antidote to our modern isolation. In the hour between sleeps of the Romans, we might rediscover the value of quiet contemplation. In the dream reverence of the Australian Aborigines, we might learn to value our subconscious minds. As we drift towards sleep ourselves, let's consider the possibility that our ancestors knew something we've forgotten. That sleep is not just a biological necessity, but a sacred time, a daily pilgrimage to the realm of dreams and renewal. May your rest be deep and restorative. Cradled in the quiet wisdom of ages past, may you find, in the soft darkness of night, echoes of ancient rhythms guiding you towards peace. Sleep well, dear listener, and dream of the countless generations who have slumbered before you, each adding their own thread to the tapestry of human experience. And as you close your eyes, remember that in sleep we are all equal. Kings and peasants, ancients and moderns, all surrendering to the gentle embrace of hip. In this, at least, we are one with our ancestors, sharing in the timeless ritual of rest and renewal. Good night, and sweet dreams.